cool. All right. Well, thank you. Oh my goodness, for all of you girls jumping on this morning and being a part of this experience. So when we launched the accountability group in January, the idea was to have a place where we could all hold each other accountable for eating healthy, exercising, and just showing up for ourselves with wellness and mental health. And being healthy is so much more than what we put in our mouths and how we're moving. It's that triangle, that trifecta of mind, body, spirit, right? And just really showing up for ourselves. And so this second round we called Level Up, and I'm holding up my little journal here that many of you have. And the five pillars, it was 4 pillars and now it's 5 pillars that we've been talking about are movement, eating or drinking some kind of a green shake every day to get in our greens, self-care, how we can show up for ourselves with self-care, a bedtime routine instead of laying in bed scrolling social media, how we can really start to unwind with meditation or yoga nidra or some way to calm ourselves down without being connected into the external world. And then healthy swaps. And healthy swaps has been a favorite of so many people to talk about, instead of like how we can make recipes healthier, and how we can stop thinking about food as good and bad and just start to make these healthy swaps. One of the gals in the group talked about Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. So that's like a kind of a basic example. Or it could be, I'm going to replace this negative behavior, this thing that doesn't make me feel good, with a behavior that does make me feel good. So just kind of learning as we go here with this badass group of women that have shown up to this challenge. And it's really been evolving. And so one of the things was, and it's totally divine timing, this beautiful woman in front of us, Kristy Sidlar. Kristy and I have been friends for a very long time, and our roots go back to the American Heart Association. And Kristy has been a part of so many different chapters, and just we've kind of seen each other through a lot of things in life. And several weeks ago, maybe about a month ago, I have to remember which episode she was on, but she jumped on Sunny Side Up and she shared her heart on her heart story and how she has survived heart disease and what that's looked like, and how she's really rallied for other women, and shared that she's launching this book. And I said, oh my goodness, tell me more about this book. And you guys can go back and listen to that episode. I'll share it with you. But what's it about? What's it look like? How can we share it? And one of the things she talked about was a part of this book is the Wellness Widget. And the Wellness Widget, I'm going to learn about it just like you guys. She's going to share it with us, but I felt like it tied in so well to what we're doing here, right? These tools that we're trying to acquire. So that's my very long-winded introduction to Kristy. And I'm going to have Kristy jump on and introduce herself and talk about the book and why she wrote it and why the Wellness Widget is a part of it, and anything else that Kristy would really like to share. If you guys want to post your questions in the chat, you can post your questions in the chat or write them down, and then we can get to them at the end. Does that sound good? Okay. Perfect. So, Miss Kristy Sidlar, without further ado, sister, I am going to pin you so everyone can see you.
Excellent. I would, before we get started, I would love to know who else is on the call. I mean, Heather and Lucian, of course, have this long history, but I see some new faces. I'd just love to get a little bit of who you are, where you are, why this is important to you, and just help us frame it a little bit better.
I love that idea. I love that plan. Okay. Who wants to start? Heather, let's go. You're next on my Brady Bunch screen.
Is Heather on mute?
I'm so rarely on mute. You just can't stop me from talking. Kristy and I go way back, so I'll be quick. We met at the Heart Association in like 2002 or it's like way back 20 years. Gosh, 20 years it's been. And I just love, no matter how many times I hear Kristy talk about it, love the inspiring nature of her story. And I really haven't heard you talk since your transplant. I mean, I've seen things from you in media and stuff, but I haven't really talked to you basically or heard you talk. So I'm excited to hear the next chapter and kind of from you how that's going, and also just the transformative nature of it, because I'm not having any transplants, but you know, we all go through transformative times in life, and I'm there right now, so I'm very interested from that perspective too.
Great, thanks. If I will, before the next person goes on, I will say there is a couple of lines in my book that I was just trying to look for it, I couldn't find it, but that says the relationships and the people that I met through the Heart Association are some of the most meaningful friendships I have in my life. So you guys made my book because of this wonderful bond that we all have. It's been really, really fabulous. All right, who's next in the Brady Bunch?
I'll go.
Oh, perfect. Marla, good. Perfect. Jump on, girl.
My name is Marla, and I am a health and wellness coach by night and a nutrition coordinator for the CRIM by day. I do both. And I met Alicia through the Speak event. Like, I feel like it was February of 2020, like before the world flipped upside down, and and I was so like, there was just a connection, like immediately, just while she was talking. And I still go over the notes, like when I need to pick me up, sometimes I just come across these notes and I'm just like, oh, I just loved her story. Anyway, and then we just connected through social media and mutual friends. And yeah, so I wanted to support her and her group and the things that she's posting, and the group has helped me as well to just stay on track, because coaches need a coach too. So
I commend you for breaking through to Alicia, because she's really hard to get through. Most people don't connect with her at all. So good job.
Sure. That's kind of what I picked up.
Oh my gosh, you guys. Too sweet. And Marla, I have to say the same about you. A coach needs a coach. I am learning so much from you. Marla has a group called Project 180. And it's a group on Facebook that she's just always posting these really inspiring things. And that's just it. We need this community, right? To continue and stay on the path. I mean, even during this last 2 months, I so easily want to slip back into, well, I'm going to count my calories and I'm going to work out twice a day. And I just want to get skinny, I just want to whatever. But we just realize that you just have to keep going and doing these healthy things, and one healthy behavior in front of the next. And that's how we set ourselves up for a lifetime of health. So I feel like we keep repeating that, but maybe we have to, So amen, sister. I love you right back. Love you right back. All this love on here. All right, Miss Sam, you are my next Brady Bunch girl.
I don't know what to say. To be honest.
Hey, who are you? Who is Sam?
I don't know. I'm struggling to figure that out lately. To be honest, I'm just like struggling through life at the moment. So taking as many opportunities as I can right now to try out different things and hoping that something sticks. So yeah.
I'm going to break in for a second. I really, really appreciate you saying that. I did a session maybe a week or so ago, and one of the things we'll talk about on my wellness wheel is not worrying. And I tend to be a little flip about it because I've never been a worrier. I'm really good at compartmentalizing. I will, be concerned about things that I have to be concerned about, but I got some feedback. I always ask for feedback after I do sessions. And I got some feedback from someone who said, anxiety is real and you need to not brush that aside. So it was a really good learning for me. And, I just really appreciate the fact that you just shared that with everybody, that it is something real. It's something that you're going through. It's something that not everybody's figured themselves out yet. So thank you for sharing that. And those are really good lessons for me as I continue to talk to people. So I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I had to leave work early on Tuesday because of my anxiety. And then I didn't go to work on Wednesday either. I just needed some time. the last couple of months have just been super overwhelming. And I'm just working on trying to give myself some space and also some grace to say, you know, it's okay to take care of myself. So
100%. There is pot of gold on the other side. Know that will be there.
yeah. Yeah. And I met Alicia through yoga at Body Language when she was working there. And I just kind of attached myself to her. So
Easy to do.
yeah, it is.
Sam, I love that you just said space and grace. We need to write that down. Space and grace. Holy crap. That is so necessary. And what you said made me think that we have no problem taking a day off of work if we're physically sick, if our stomach hurts, our head hurts, but we are shifting in a direction. I feel we're shifting in a direction in this world where it's becoming okay to take a mental health day. And you just paved that path. You just said it's okay to do that. And it's 100% okay to do that. And it's necessary and it's needed. And I love that. So even though you are struggling and anxiety is real, you're honoring that space and grace. And that's so flippin' beautiful. It's beautiful.
It's funny that you said that because like the next morning after like I left work early, my husband's like, are you like gonna get in trouble for taking a day off? And like I literally looked to him and I said, no, I'm sick. Like I feel sick today, like mentally, physically, I'm exhausted. I slept for hours the day before. I'm like, I'm not going in. And he's like, okay, are you gonna get fired or something for that? I'm like, well, first of all, I'm in a union. Second of all, like no one in their right mind is going to try to fire somebody because they had to take a sick day. It's just not going to be possible with, you know, the union behind me and all that other stuff. So I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to stress out about who I'm going to piss off by not being there. I left them super shorthanded and I felt really bad about that. I mean, I brought them muffins the next time I came in. So I was hoping that kind of alleviated a little bit of the annoyance, but you know, you do what you can do. But yeah, I just was like, I don't really have any time to use. I guess that means when we go on vacation next month, I'll just be short some time. You know, it's more important now.
Yeah.
So
good for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Very, very much good for you. And I'm super proud of you for that. That's a tough lesson in life. And you, girl, that's amazing. Amazing. We have Kristen on with us, and full transparency, Kristen is currently riding her Peloton bike. That's why her camera's not on. And I'm so proud of her for that too, because she's a mama of very young kids.
I got my volume. I'm trying to pause it. Okay.
Hi. You can turn your camera on and show us your beautiful sweaty self if you want. Or not.
I'm in my nursing bra. I mean, if you guys really want to see it, I can go there.
We got the visual. We're good. Oh, hey.
There we go. So.
Get it, girl.
Sorry.
Get it, girl.
Go. Okay, out, please. This is my time, please. Out. Out. Thank you. I got the baby down, and that's when I commit to myself. Can you please close the door? And my older one is here, and he doesn't want to give me my time. Oh, sorry. Are you there? Okay. So I just turned 42 on Wednesday, and I committed to 12 miles a day on the bike for 42 days. And I started it, like, I think I'm on day 10 or 11, and I've kept to it. So this is the time in the morning when I usually ride. So I was like, I'm going to be on the Zoom, but I'm also going to ride, so that I made sure I got it in. So, but I was listening to Sam, and my heart just goes out to you. I am a stay-at-home mom now, but I'm a school social worker, and I worked in the therapeutic classroom. So I had kids with some emotional impairments and struggled to just kind of control their body, their thoughts, their feelings. and it would come out kind of at the staff. And we had amazing parapros, and sometimes they would need to take a mental health day. And the administrator, the principal, didn't quite understand that. She said, they're not sick, they should be here, we need their help. And I said, if they're not well in the head, and if they're not positive and feeling good, they're not going to be much help here. So I too think it's so important that you put your health first. Your mind is a part of your body, and we need to take care of it. So I definitely always advocated for mental health days for our staff, because they actually were pretty healthy, but they needed time. So I completely agree that you have to get your mind right. And when you're not there, you need to take the time to, put it in. Just like we make time to eat lunch, dinner, breakfast, we also need to make time for our minds to make sure that we're the best that we can be, so that we can be the best for other people too. So on that, so Sam, I'm very proud of you for knowing yourself and knowing what you needed to do. And I'm just battling a 6-month-old baby. I'm not really battling the 6-month-old baby, but last night she actually slept for the first time the whole night through. So I had a pretty decent night's sleep, but I too find myself not in the best shape mentally because I'm not getting the best sleep. And then I see that spiral into other aspects of my life. So my big focus is on getting my body back so that I can feel strong and just confident, and making sure that my mind is also clear. So Alicia and I were talking about yesterday, we were talking about how important it is that as adults that we also maybe do therapy and just have a sounding board, somebody to kind of talk to, because we need that. So Girl Time helps with that, but also a therapist helps too. So I've known Alicia for many years. I knew her husband first, and then thankfully he met her. And then I just kind of, like Sam, I just kind of was like a leech, and I latched onto her, and she can't shake me. I'm now attached to her vein. So I'm not going anywhere. But yeah,
I think we met each other at the wedding. Yes.
I've met.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've met you a couple of times, and actually I was watching the news like a week ago, and a blurb came on the news. You had like an interview.
Yeah.
And I was like, I need to watch it. And then life happened. So when she said that she was doing the Zoom, I was like, I have to get on. So I'll be on, my video will be off. I'm going to be moving and listening at the same time.
Well, thank you. Thank you for multitasking. We're happy you're here. And if you go on to click on Detroit, WDIV,
Yes.
the story is actually online. So if you really feel compelled to watch the 3.5 minutes, it's still there.
Because it's pretty amazing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to say on that note, Kristen, thank you for jumping on in the Peloton, and also kudos to you for honoring this time that you get to make this time about you. You get to get your exercise in, you get to be with these women, you get to listen to Kristy. Like, I love that you made it all work, and I've watched you transform into this woman. And I think it's really amazing that you are honoring that time, and even just saying to your kids, this is me time, this is mommy's time. And it's okay to say that. Like, it's okay to say that to our spouses and our kids and our friends, that I need to honor this space and grace. That's what we're going to call it, this space and grace. I wanted to say too, Kristen's sister-in-law is Elena, and Elena has been a part of this group, and she actually sent me a little message, Kristy, and said, I so wish that I could be on the Zoom call today. Elena was the photographer for all of the Go Red for Women.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And she said, I just adore Kristy. She's touched my life. Please tell her hello. I can't be on the call, but I want to watch the recording. And just, there's so many women that would love to be here with us today, but they're going to watch the recording later, and just all the lives that you have touched, Kristy, through your story.
Thank you. And Elena, I miss you. You're such a gift to so many people. So I'm sorry to not have you here today, but great to know that you're here with us in spirit.
Yay. I love that you asked that question for everybody to introduce themselves, because it just changes the dynamic of the call, right? Like, now we're all friends.
Yeah.
We're all connected.
And I know where people are coming from. I think it might make me focus in some areas rather than others. So thank you very much for honoring my request. Helps me quite a bit. But do you want me to just launch in, Alicia? And okay. Well, I know everybody on this call has varying degrees of knowledge of my story. We've had a couple of allusions to heart disease and heart association, and I think the word transplant was in there somewhere. So I was 27. I was living in North Carolina. Married to my first husband, whose name is Dave and has the same birthday as my current husband, Dave, but that's a whole other podcast. But while I was teaching aerobics, oh my God, we called it aerobics back then. I was teaching aerobics and I passed out in front of my class. So can you imagine you're a student, a ton of you in the room and your teacher just falls over. So paramedics came, they said, you probably are dehydrated. You probably didn't eat enough. I'm sure you're fine. You might have a slight concussion. Don't go to see whatever, all the typical stuff, go home, you're fine. So, for the next 6 months or so, I was having issues when I was instructing. I never passed out again, but I just knew something was wrong. So why it took me 6 months, who knows? But anyway, I finally went to the doctor and they thought I had a heart attack. And, I knew I hadn't had a heart attack. The doctors didn't really think I'd had a heart attack, but that's what was indicated on my EKG. So we started this path of trying to figure out what's wrong with me. And I was, honestly, you guys, I was so fit that I passed the stress test 6 times. I couldn't get me to recreate this rhythm because I was so healthy. I would get to the highest incline, fastest speed, want to throw up, but I couldn't get to where we needed to go. So finally on my seventh stress test, we finally got me to recreate this rhythm. So we found out I had something wrong. I had an arrhythmia. They diagnosed me with something, said you really probably shouldn't exercise as much, take this medication, tone things back. And that was hard for me to hear because exercise was such a big part of my life. But, listened to the doctors, started walking, started rollerblading. A couple of years later, moved to San Francisco. And the doctors did say to me, as quickly and suddenly as this came on, it may also suddenly go away. So just do what your body allows you to do. And if you can do more exercise, do more exercise. Well, kiss of death to tell somebody that when they love to exercise. So I'm doing 50-mile rollerblades, 100-mile bike rides. I was, bike run, swim every day. And I thought, well, may as well train for a triathlon. I haven't done that. Hadn't checked that box yet. So I was training. This was 1999. Actually, it was my 31st birthday in 1999. And I was by myself riding up this hill to go to the gym for my swim and my bike, or my swim and my run. And as I was just about to the top of the hill, I felt myself go into this rhythm. And usually if it happened, I would just kind of convert out on my own. So I just sat there thinking it's gonna get better. And then, 15 minutes goes by and now I'm too lightheaded to sit on my bike. So I'm sitting on the side of the road and now it was even worse. I was now starting to fade in and out of consciousness. So I was lying on the side of the road, bike by my side, no cell phone. It was 1999. And finally about 45 minutes later where I thought I was going to die. I'd fade out into unconsciousness. And I'm like, well, this is it. So finally the cyclist came by, called the paramedics. They arrived and, like you see in the movies, they got the shock pads out and they shocked my heart. But I was alive. So, I was experiencing it while it was happening. But I knew it should have hurt more than it did. You see it in the movies and these people's bodies just completely convulse. Well, they had given me some Valium to tell me because you're alert, we need to try to calm this down for you. And they obviously gave me so much Valium. I really didn't feel anything, but I woke up and I came to and I looked at the guy and I said, great, can I ride my bike home? He's like, oh my God, you're insane, woman. So they took me to the hospital. Told me I needed to get whatever they misdiagnosed me with before. I was going to go get it checked out and get it fixed. And anyway, they realized that I was truly misdiagnosed. I went through 10 days of additional testing, finally found that I had, at the time, it was very, very rare. 20 years later, it's not so rare, but basically what it is my right ventricle is completely diseased, or was, I don't have it anymore, but my old heart, the right ventricle was completely diseased and over time would become super porous like a sponge, pretty much non-functional. And it's a progressive disease and the disease progressed with exercise. So I'm like, are you kidding me? Like the one thing that I didn't want to hear. But, you know, you'll learn as I talk more, and if you read my book and the more you get to know me, I mentioned I'm not a worrier. I'm a very fast processor, and I compartmentalize things really well. So I took the information in. Yeah, I had a good cry. Like when you're told you're about 2 weeks away from a triathlon and you can't ever do it anymore ever in your life, it's kind of a bummer. And it's funny, I don't even remember this. My mom has told me this several times. After I got the news from the doctor, I said to both of them, yes, this sucks. I'm sorry, I can't do this anymore, but I'm going to make it my life's mission to help people. And I'm going to go find the Heart Association and I'm going to go do something about this. So, and I kind of remember my mom clearly like recounts that story to me. So I started a few months later, my first Heart Walk team when I was still in San Francisco, and then I moved back to Michigan, and that's where I got to know these guys. So over the course of 20 years, we knew this was a progressive disease, and we knew at some point I would need to get a heart transplant. Didn't know when, didn't know what the progression was going to look like, didn't know how long this was all going to last. Even up to the days before I had my surgery, you would have looked at me and never thought I was in heart failure, that I was about to have a heart transplant. I looked relatively healthy. I go back and look at pictures and I know I was looking sick, but I didn't look like the poster child for heart disease. And I kept myself as active as I could be. I would, I walked, I did light weights, I did the elliptical. I liked to hike, but it had to be on the flats. So I kept myself as physically healthy as I could. But I look back now and I realize that probably not to the degree of the structure that you guys are doing, but I really did make sure I was focusing on other areas of my wellness, because I now know, and Heather, you alluded to this in the beginning, we're all going to go through some kind of trauma. Chances are nobody else on this call is going to have a heart transplant, but you're going to go through a divorce. You're going to have you're going to have something awful happen in your family. You're going to lose your favorite job ever and feel like all of these things are going to happen to some of us at some point. And when I originally started working on this book, I thought I was going to call it Preform to Transform. Like you have to preform your life. You have to get all this stuff in order as much as you can to be able to transform into something else. And the concept's still there, but I changed some things in the book. So fast forward, I moved to Singapore for work. I was living in Asia for 3 years, traveling a ton, on the planes quite a bit. This is probably 2016. I was noticing a lot more edema, which is swelling of my legs and feet. And that was a sign of the congestion. My heart wasn't pumping properly. Moved back to Michigan in 2018, basically. Started getting worse. In 2020, I was referred to an advanced heart failure and heart transplant doctor. I was noticing, and this is something else was alluded to early on, but I was noticing instead of just the edema in my legs, I felt like I had a football in my gut. And I found out later that the congestion and the inadequacy of my heart pumping was now living in my liver. Like everything was backing up there. And I had always, fortunately, this has almost completely gone out of my life, but for many, 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 many years, I had serious body image issues. I was anorexic in college. I was exercise bulimic in my early 30s. I just always had a struggle with this. And now my favorite part of my body was always my flat stomach. And now I had this bulge in my gut. And it was really, really hard for me to accept. But partly because it just, mentally with this whole craziness I had around my body image, but it also was that indicator that I was getting worse and worse. So we decided at that point, we needed to start putting me through the evaluation process for transplant. And that was another really weird battle in my head, because I had actually wanted a transplant for years and years and years. I kept asking my doctor, when can I get one? When can I get one? Because I wanted a new functioning heart. But now I was at this stage, I'm thinking, well, I'm still kind of, relatively healthy. And the statistics say that heart transplants only last 12 to 15 years. And I thought, well, do I live a couple more years on this side? Maybe not the greatest quality of life, but to give myself more on the other. Like it was this big game I was playing in my head. But we started with the evaluation, and I was working a full-time job. It wasn't critical that I get it done super fast. So it took me probably 6 months to go through all the testing. And then it was December that all my tests were done. They present everything to this 20-person team at Henry Ford Health System. And 3 of the people in the room had seen me face to face, my doctor, the surgeon, and like a social worker or something. And the other 17 people only knew me based on what was in my chart. Unanimously, everybody said, this woman has to get on the heart transplant list. And one of the guys who'd never seen me before said, I don't know how this woman can even walk down the hall. Her heart is so grossly enlarged that she should not be functioning the way she is. So the doctor called me, was like, yeah, I think it's time. And I'll tell you another story that I think will just fit into some of the mental Olympics that we tend to have as women and trying to balance all these things. But so I I'm about to get on the list, and we were having the discussion about when I should come in to have my, my formal listing. And I said, well, I just started this new job and I just hired 6 new people and I'm having a big sales meeting on January 19th. Can we just put it off a little bit? Oh my God, I thought he was going to kill me, but I am a salesperson and I'm a really good negotiator and I'm very persuasive, and we made it happen. So I got through my meeting and finally was about to get on the list. And I was supposed to be on the list on March 10th. So just hold that date in your head. On March 6th, I had a weekend where I was in this really bad arrhythmia. It wasn't super fast, but it was very uncomfortable, but they really couldn't do anything until Monday. I talked to my doctors. They said, don't worry about going to the ER because there's not much they can do. So go in on Monday, see your doctor. We'll do an EKG. We'll figure out what we need to do. So Monday morning, I went into the doctor. They did the EKG. The cardiologist said, you need to get to the emergency room immediately. We got to the emergency room. They were able to manipulate. I had an internal defibrillator that would shock my heart. So they were able to manipulate that, get me out of the bad rhythm, but I was still in some other rhythm I'd never been in before. So this is now the 8th of March. I was supposed to get on the list on the 10th. They put me into ICU that night. The 9th, I was on the list. The 10th, a heart became available, and the 11th, it was in my body. So where I was so focused on, oh my gosh, if I get on the list, I'm going to be on it for years. And what if I didn't shave my legs that day and I went to the hospital and they saw me hairy? Or what if I didn't get all my documentation and my systems at work? I mean, I actually, I thought about those things, and that I didn't have to deal with any of that. I mean, it just happened so fast. So the 11th came early in the morning and I was in surgery, and several of you on this call were getting texts from my husband, and he was so great about keeping everybody updated. But that was honestly my biggest, the thing that consumed my brain the most going into the surgery was not, am I going to die? Is this going to go wrong? Like I didn't worry about any of that stuff. I was so confident in my team. But I really hated the fact that my friends and my family, they say the surgery is usually 8 to 12 hours, that they were going to have to worry and be sad and concerned. And, that was the thing that was really probably stressing me the most. So anyway, my surgery was great. It was 6.5 hours. I was up in ICU a few hours after that. Dave got to see me for the first time. And I now had this new second chance at life, but because of somebody else's death. And that was a hard thing. I do every day. I put my hand on my heart and I give gratitude to my donor family. But as wonderful of a gift that this was for me, this was an awful tragedy for someone else. And that's always something that I have to balance with. I don't have survivor's guilt. The person who gave me their precious gift was going to die anyway. So I don't think of it that way, but I know that somebody gave something up huge for me to have something huge. So fast forward, a couple of weeks after I got out of the hospital, I was on the phone with my cousin, just having a conversation about my experience. And he asked me how, what the hospital was like. And this was the emphasis and the catalyst for my book. I remember thinking when I got home that, I'm a disciplined person. I understand the basics of nutrition. I am a rule follower. I want to do well. I love to be the A student in class. I'm in all those silly things, but, I knew that I was going to come home and I was going to make the most of this recovery, and I was going to have another version of me that was better than the last because of the work I was going to put into it, because of the things that a lot of these things that I had great social support. I had a wonderful network of people who were, calling me, sending me things, who were just there to support me. And I got to thinking about the 2 old dudes on the other side of me in the hospital. And I thought, God, what if they're going home to some cranky wife who just wants them to get better? Nobody's coming to visit them. They don't think cardiac rehab is important. They want to go back to eating their burgers and smoking their cigarettes, and they don't have any hobbies to keep them it made me realize that whether it's me because of things I did in my life, or whether it was the circumstances that I grew up in, or whatever it is, somehow I became this person that was going to be able to deal really well with this. And I realized that not everybody is in that situation. So that was the moment I said, I'm writing a book. I want to put some of these concepts that I think have helped me to get through this trauma and be able to live a life that's fulfilling. But there are a couple other aspects to that. In my world, I'm an extreme optimist. I love to be able to make people feel better. And I thought if more people in our world are more healthy, more fulfilled, more, just living a better life, they're going to impact the people around them. So think of somebody who is one of these cranky dudes next to me in the hospital, who now starts to pay attention to some of those things. People are going to want to be around him more. And maybe that will inspire that person to be more cognizant of things in their life and maybe make some improvements, and so on and so on. I'm a really big proponent of the pay it forward concept. And I know, Alicia, you are too. And for me, it was, I've lived this life that I think is allowing me to be prepared for anything that comes my way. I need to share it. And I do sometimes tend to be Pollyanna, and I'm not Pollyanna in this respect to say, I'm going to sell a book and the whole world's going to be better. But I do really believe, and if I don't ever make $1 from this book, I don't care. I'm going to start leaving them in hotel rooms and in the airports for people to read, because I want somebody to see it, something on my wellness widget or something from my story to say, I had something like that and I didn't handle it that well, and it probably got me into a spiral. And what if I just turned that situation around a little bit? So that was the reason for me writing the book. Writing the book itself was the most fun I've ever had. If any of you on this call have ever thought about writing a book, stop thinking about it and doing it, and start doing it. It was the coolest experience. I serendipitously ended up connecting with the Detroit Writing Room and got myself a coach, and we had a timeline, and it was very important to me to have my launch on National Go Red Day and have my book released on my 1-year anniversary of my transplant. I mean, there were just some things that we were really working towards that helped me drive everything along. But the book experience was phenomenal. And then since then, I don't know. Alicia, you were, I think, my second one, but I've had probably 5 or 6 podcasts. I've done a bunch of speaking engagements. And for me, I just want to get the message out. I want people to think differently. I want somebody to be challenged, maybe get a little uncomfortable, but find a way to take one bit at a time. And Alicia, I know that's what you're trying to instill here, is don't try to swallow the ocean. Go one fish at a time. And I think, Alicia, you said this in the beginning, one thing can start to spiral out of control, and let's just use, emotional wellness is, whatever, my emotional wellness is not work. Well, if I can maybe get my physical wellness back in track, and so do, Kristen, what you're doing this morning, and then all of a sudden the physical piece is going to start making your emotional wellness a little bit better. And what if I'm in a rut. I don't have any hobbies. I'm not Heather right now doing all my cool little artwork. But if you start to do that, maybe that's going to feed into your social wellness, because people want to see what you're doing. So there's all these ways that these things are going to interact with each other. So my wellness widget, I'll just explain this really quickly, and then I'm going to take a break and see if you guys have any questions or thoughts. But my wellness widget is physical, social, emotional, spiritual, you can tell I'm going around the wheel, financial, and vocational. And vocational to me is hobbies, it's work, it's volunteerism, it's all that stuff that I just kind of had to put into a bucket. But I'm finding ways to personally, I made a commitment in my book that I can be better in all of those areas, and one thing for each that I'm going to continue to work on this year. But there are just things within those categories, and I'll show you the wheel in a minute, but things in those categories that, as I was doing a lot of research on other wellness models, there were some things that I saw were missing and were really important for me to include. So again, I'll share that with you in a second, but that was a lot. That was 22 years of my life and 26 minutes, but that's who I am, where I've come from and to, and why I'm on this crusade to try to help people see their lives and see the people around them a little bit differently.
So many amazing nuggets, girlfriend. Thank you. And I love like the things I wrote down. Don't try to swallow an ocean. Absolutely. Just bite size, one day at a time. I mean, that's even something that they teach in recovery, right? You can't just be well. It takes these moments, these days, these focusing on one thing.
Yep.
And that's so important. So physical, social, emotional, spiritual, financial, vocational. Does anybody on the call want to focus on one aspect of those things mentioned, or what questions do you guys have for Kristy?
You know, I don't know if this is a question necessarily, but just a topic for discussion, because this came out loud and clear for those people on the call who don't know you. This came out loud and clear on what you were talking about. And it's something that over the 20 years, and this is honest, many times during the last 20 years, I have thought about you with some of my challenges, because I do have the built-in not worry thing, which I totally appreciate, because I'm actually married to, my husband has diagnosed anxiety, and he would tell you that. So I get to I know what living with someone who has those challenges. So I feel very lucky that I'm not a worrier either. However, I don't have the built-in mechanisms. And I suspect that if we all had the mechanisms that you have, that we'd be a little healthier. Now, I've never heard you actually say anything about your body image challenges, like that workout, kind of that, I don't know, anorexia or bulimia or whatever you said, that the workout thing. So I didn't know that about you, but you have a built-in kind of drive, like that you're just going to do things the way you do them, no matter what. And I have a built-in procrastinator button. So that's I have the opposite challenge, because tomorrow's going to be great. This is going to be great tomorrow. So I'm the optimist, but today. So I always like to surround myself with people who are today people, because I know that that's my weakness. That's great at work, but in your personal life, when it comes to especially self-care or eating right, and exercise to a certain degree too, although I've always liked it, but it's like, I can always make room for all those things, i.e. myself, tomorrow. Tomorrow's gonna be a great day. So like, and I don't know if you even know what that was like, because I don't know what it's like to have the drive that you have. And so I don't know if that's a real question, but I don't have that.
No, it's okay. So I fooled you, didn't I? Because it's not as easy as I make it look. And recently, actually, I don't know if any of you know what a Remarkable is, or if you have a Remarkable tablet, but I love my Remarkable tablet, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't have to be a tablet, but it's got all these templates in it. And two of the templates I'm now using, it's just a regular daily planner. It's got a column for each. And I on Sunday nights, Dave and I sit down together. We look at our calendars, we look at our schedules, who's doing what time are we finishing work? And we figure out what are the days we're going to the gym, what are the days we're going to get a hike in because it's light out, whatever. What are the days I'm going to do my TRX bands instead of do my cardio, whatever. So that's in there. I look at it, I'm accountable to it. I change it every week. We do the same with our meals. This is the one night we're going to be working late, so we're going to just eat out. But this night we're going to make this dinner, and we're going to have our 2 salads every night, whatever. And again, I mean, really writing the book helped me. I really truly did pull out my wellness widget. I wrote on it. It's sitting next to my desk, and my 6 things that I wanted to do, one in each category. I have to work at it. I mean, I really do. Brent, I am a driven person. I mean, I will admit that, but this stuff doesn't come easy. I mean, it still takes work. So I think, my advice back to you, or my maybe thought shift for you is, again, it goes back to that. Don't try to do it all at once. If you think tomorrow's going to be great because I'm going to eat better, I'm going to get more sleep, I'm going to exercise, I'm not going to eat any sugar, and I'm going to make sure that I tell my husband 4 times a day that I love him. Pick one, please. And then a week later, when you got that one down, pick another one. Another concept that I talk about in my book is, in my professional life, I have, for 30 years as a sales professional, heard, whatever, you need to hit a bigger revenue goal. You need to contact more clients. You need to make sure you're really putting our value proposition out there. Recruiters, you guys need to hire more people, whatever it is. If you don't tell somebody how to do it, if you don't give somebody some kind of a tool, some training, some path, it's what Einstein says, like it's insanity. You're going to try to expect results from doing the same thing. So you can't just say, I shouldn't say you can't. My thought is that you're going to have a much better success ratio if you chunk it apart. You look at a thing. Again, I'm really big on small. It takes longer, but you got to do smaller. You're going to do big and fail. Find a little thing, work on it for a while, get it down. I mean, a while could be a week for you. A while could be 12 weeks. But don't you not want to look 6 months down the road and, God, if I would have just done that 6 months ago, I'd have these 3 things, working better in my life. So I know, I'm not saying anything you guys haven't heard before. But maybe today is the day that you're going to go, I'm going to put together a schedule for my meals for the week, or I'm going to put together a schedule that, Kristen, this is my time at whatever time it is there, 10 o'clock, I get on my bike. It's grace to yourself. I mean, it really is something that you deserve.
When I was in Montana, Carly, my co-host of the retreat, she did an entire focus. One of the workshops or times we spent together was called Morning Rituals. And she shared with us what her morning ritual looked like. And in hopes that we could take some little nugget of that back with us and why morning rituals has helped her. And it was incredibly helpful to me because I have a really hard time getting out of bed in the morning. I would rather lay there and sleep, but she showed us even just 10 minutes in the morning of, sitting with your cup of coffee and lighting that candle, or whatever your morning ritual looks like, to set that intention for the day and how powerful it can be. And it was incredibly helpful. Like you said, she gave us the tools and equipped us with the knowledge of what worked for her. And if we start to do that every single morning, even if we miss some mornings, we're setting that intention and that habit for ourselves, just in the same way of having that nightly ritual, and offering yourself that grace of saying, okay, maybe I didn't get the morning ritual in, but I got the evening ritual in, and how that can benefit you in the long term. Right. So I think it's meeting yourself where you are. We talk about meeting others where they are, and that's important, right? In work, in life, meeting others where they are, but it's also important to meet yourself where you are. Because whatever chapter you're in right now is different than a year ago, and it's going to be different than it is a year from now. So how can we meet ourselves exactly where we are right now? Miss Kristy? Uh-oh, you froze, sister. Is everyone frozen?
Procrastinator. I love the pressure of doing. I love not doing things until I have to, but I love the pressure of like having to do something in the last minute. But again, there's things that I've just taken. I also, I'm an A student, so I don't want to not do something. Like it bothers me if I set a goal for myself and I didn't achieve it. So for me, again, that's part of the write it down or know that Tuesday is the day that I'm going to do, whatever, upper body on TRX. Because if I don't accomplish that, then I don't want to say I feel like a failure, but then I've let myself down, and I don't like to let myself down because I'm the overachiever and I'm the A student. And so, some of it I've gotten to know how my mind works and what drives me and what disappoints me. But I love to put stuff off. I love to do things at the last minute.
Something that Alicia was saying, and this is directed towards Sam, because I was really moved by her opening comments and kind of where she was. And I think, everybody goes through those periods in life that, it's more overwhelming and you don't have a handle on it. And, where's this going to go? And what am I doing right now? And what struck me, and this for you, Sam, to know, just someone who doesn't know you, but just observing, to be able to identify what you're going through and to give yourself the room, like basically saying to your husband, yeah, I'm sick and I'm staying home. And to him question you. I mean, that's somebody, if my husband did that to me when I was your age, I'd be like, oh my gosh, maybe I will get fired. I should go into work. But for you to have the strength to say, no, this is real. This is where I am. And I am sick. that is huge. Like that speaks of your strength and resilience and confidence in yourself. You might not feel it right now, but just someone looking from the outside in, I was very moved by that. I thought, man, I didn't have that. I did not have that. I don't know, grace, I guess, or self-care, or just confidence, or whatever it was. And so it just speaks to, you're gonna be just fine on the other end of whatever it is that, the journey, because that's huge. So, but that's probably my biggest thing is the self-awareness in the moment, which, it's easy 5 years from now, look back and go, oh, you should have done that. What were you thinking? But in the moment, to kind of recognize what you're going through and be able to articulate it. And it's always been a challenge for me. So, and a procrastinator, just how long are we going to let this go? So anyway, I'll shut up. Thank you for your comments, Kristy.
For me, it really resonated with me when you said, and it's so simple. And like you've said, we've heard of this all before, but it's just hearing it again and hearing it from a different perspective. When you said you don't swallow the whole ocean, being a perfectionist, from childhood, we tend to want the whole picture to be perfect immediately, like right now, like it all has to be perfect. And that's what has always set me up for failure with my health and wellness journey. And 5 years ago, I started a new thing, completely different. Sometimes just doing something completely different is the magic, And so I tried something completely different, which was just a new gym. And I remember thinking to myself, well, what if I fail? What if this feels good now? I've done it for 2 or 3 days, but I've always done it for 2 or 3 days and then dropped off. Or then, I'm not going to do it this day or whatever. But I just kept, I don't know, for whatever reason, there was a switch that flipped and I was just, okay, today is today and we'll do it. I focus on today. And that has, like you said, spiraled into so many other areas of my life where I'm almost like this expert of, and I say that with like so much humility because it has taken a lifetime. I'm 48, and being able to look at a big picture and saying, this is what's in front of me. This is today, and even with meals, with, having, trying to eat healthy and things like that, but then it's Fat Tuesday and you have a punchki, but my old self would have, well, I had a punchki, so now I'm gonna have a burger and fries, and then I'm gonna have this, and I'm gonna have dessert later. But it was like, no, I'm going to enjoy this. This is something that I want, and I'm choosing to have it, and it's okay. And then I had my salad for dinner and drank my water, and it's such a huge thing to just not try to swallow the whole ocean. That's such a great concept.
Well, 2 things that you said I'd love to comment on. One is I'm still probably a recovering and slightly perfectionist. I literally went to therapy when in my 30s for perfectionism. Like I had to talk to somebody about, Kristy's got to be the perfect person in the family. Kristy, it was something I had to talk to somebody about. So that was great. But my favorite phrase, and I have to credit my husband for this, and I love this, and I think about it almost every day. Perfect is the enemy of great. Isn't that awesome? I mean, we aren't going to be perfect, but I mean, back to my professional life. I mean, oh my gosh, that T is just a little too high on the PowerPoint and I could spend 10 minutes. I'm like, are you kidding me? So perfection is the enemy of great. Be great. Don't stress about perfect.
So I had a life coach, which is amazing. If you've never had any type of coach, coaches are amazing. Transform my life. But something that he used to always say to me is done beats perfect. Getting it done beats getting it perfect. And again, that has been something that I have taken into every single area of my life. I showed up at the gym late yesterday for a class, like a couple minutes late, and I wanted to just not go. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to do it. It's not perfect. I'm rushing in all frazzled, but I'm going to do it. And it was done, and it felt amazing that it was done. So anyway, done.
I
beats
love
perfect.
that.
My
I'm adding
favorite.
that. I'm adding that one
I
to my
love that so much. Well, and I have, my hesitation to start. Can you guys hear me okay? Okay, cool. It says internet connection. My hesitation to start a podcast. My very first podcast episode was recorded on my phone in the kitchen making muffins, because done beats perfect. I knew I wanted to do it, and I just had to jump in and build my wings on the way down. And that's why I've always loved that quote, take the leap and build your wings on the way down, because if you wait for the perfect time, you're never going to do it, no matter what it is. And I wanted to, just for a moment, because I've been writing down, I'm such a writer. I love to write everything down, but something that Kristy said and something that Marla said, I loathe the comment, no, that didn't work, or no, that doesn't work. And I'm stubborn. I'm an Aries, so I've always been stubborn. But instead of saying, no, that didn't work, say, okay, it didn't work one time, but how can we do it a different way? And I've had this happen in my life a lot, where people have said, well, we tried that, it didn't work. Or no, that didn't work, don't do that again. And instead say, that's the stubbornness in me. Well, it didn't work, but why didn't it work? And how can I do it a different way? So like Marla, you said you joined a different gym. Something as simple of being inspired in a different way helped you, right? And for Kristen, I'm so inspired by you, Kristen, because you just keep getting on that bike. You're like, damn it, I'm getting on that bike and I'm gonna ride through my crap. Like, I'm picturing you just riding through the storm, and like that's
Like this. That's
flipping,
what I look like.
inspiring, right? Like go. So
No, sorry. It's, to John, sorry, not to cut in. With the bike, what I've said, so I've been trying to do a lot of positive self-talk, and every day I'm like, oh my God, 12 miles seems like too much. Like I can't do it. But after every workout, like I tell myself, I say like, that felt so good. So I hold that moment of that felt so good. And I know that when I get done with this, it's going to feel so good. And that's what kind of gets me through. So like that hard stuff, like I got through it and it felt so good. And I carry that into like the tough stuff. I know that when I get done with it, I know that when I get through it, it's going to feel so good. So I'm just trying to.
Yeah. It's so
last positive self-talk.
I know it's the not the fear, but it's the pain of starting. And then it's just start it. And then, you're more so I think with exercise than anything else, but a project, whatever it is, just start it. And then you're going to be so, you finished it.
Right.
Yeah.
First couple minutes might suck, but it's gonna start to feel better. But everything, like you just feel so accomplished. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to, you don't have to look good doing it. But when you get it done, you're proud of yourself, and you mentally bank that moment. And you use those moments in other parts of your life. And
yeah, totally agree. Alicia, how are we on time? I'm happy to keep going, but I want to be mindful of people needing to get little people places.
So yeah, I actually did not set a time frame. I know sometimes when we do these check-ins, I'll say it's going to be a 30-40 minute check-in, but I did not set a time frame. So I would say that if anybody needs to jump off, they can. I know I don't have to jump off right now. For me, I've got at least another 10-15 minutes. So if that's good for you, and I think, we could spend hours diving into each of these pillars, right? Physical, social, emotional, spiritual, financial, vocational. So Kristy, I know you mentioned you want to share your screen. There we go. I gave Kristy control. So Kristy is jumping in, and I'm going to mute myself because my dog's barking.
Oh yeah. And it's funny. My dad's dog just heard it. And now he's going a little nuts. Okay. So this is on my website. So if you want to go to, I don't know, can you see my book? Change of Heart, My Journey of Transplantation, Revelation, and Transformation is the name of the book, but my website is changeofheartmemoir.com. If you go to my website, you can download this, this wellness widget. So, there's a lot of text here and a lot of it's kind of small, but again, I touched at a high level on what the 6 dimensions are. I would really encourage you to print this out. Think of a thing this week that you want to work on. A couple of things I will call out. I mentioned the different models. You can find something like this all over the internet, but the 2 that were really critical to me in physical, I did add body image. I just think, again, because of personal experience, that was very important to me, but most people, particularly women, at some point have struggled. And for me, granted, I had a huge event happen in my life that was that shift for me, but I got out of the hospital. I was scarred, bruised, IVs, bloated stomach, on medication that made my face twice the size. It was like, I was disgusted. But to me, I was so beautiful because I had a second chance at life. I could finally look at myself and not like quickly have to look away because I looked like I gained 2 pounds in my stomach. It's hard to describe how this shift was so monumental for me. And again, I had something major happen in my life that allowed me to get past that. But I think, whatever that fear is, and again, a lot of women do have some kind of, body hangups. I think back over the course of, let's say I had started my anorexia when I was 19. How old am I now? I'm in 30 something years of wasted energy, wasted anxiety. If I could bottle that back up and take that time back in my life, I would give anything for it. And, I think if we, again, going back to the worry, or whether it's body image or whether it's something else, something that's hanging you up, this is going to sound like I'm saying something that's easier said than done, but try to think on it. If you're in a spot where you're spiraling, or you are worrying about something, or something that, if you were to truly step back and go, is this worth it? And take that negative energy and turn it into something positive. So when I look at the fact that if I worried an hour a day about what I looked like, or if somebody was looking at my ass, or if I sat down and I had a roll in my stomach, I mean, you name it, I had the stupidest thoughts about it. But if I could have taken an hour of those stupid thoughts a day, picked up the phone and called somebody I cared about, gone and volunteered, sat down in my art room, and Alicia, I will get you that globe for Earth Day. I swear it's in my drawer. I'm going to see you and I'm going to give it to you. But, think about some of these other areas on the wheel that you could focus your energy on when you have a body image issue, or when you're worrying about something. I love this as a tool to try to shift myself from a place where I'm going where I don't want to go, to find something else to elevate that. So I just, again, you use this as it suits you, but it's really been a great tool for me, as I've now, again, I've lived a lot of this stuff all my life, but formalizing it was really meaningful to me and really helpful.
I love this so much. Like, I want to print this, and I'm a sticky note on my mirror girl. I want to stick it on my mirror to look at it every day.
Excellent.
So we can still, on the screen, we can all still see the wellness widget. We can't see each other, correct?
I see the bar of all of you.
Oh, you do? Okay. Let's see.
I can flip it back.
Okay.
Or I can stop sharing if you guys are good, and then we can all get back to normal. Anybody want to comment on any of this before I let it go away?
Well, and when we all get your book, when we all have a copy of your book, we'll have this graphics in the book, right? And you break down in the book each of these, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Well, and Kristy and I had talked about too, the next retreat I'm hosting is local in Michigan. And it's going to be in the Highland, Michigan area in May. I'm 99% sure it's May 22nd. It might actually be 2 days. We're brainstorming right now, making it a 2-day experience. And I've asked Kristy to come and be a part of this retreat and talk about the wellness widget and have her books available. So I'm putting it out to the universe, and I'm praying that we can make that happen. And I'm praying that all of you, all these beautiful faces on the call are there, are with us on that day to break down these barriers. break down these obstacles that are standing in our way one at a time to emerge and be transformed, because it's possible.
Yeah. And that's the session I do. So I go through each of the 6 dimensions. And in my book, I've got a couple of introspection exercises. Just, you know, I throw some questions out there. Was there ever a time when, and what was the outcome? And what if you would have done it differently? And how can you make some kind of adjustment in the future to make it, you know, the positive outcome that you want? I've changed it up a little bit for my speaking sessions now, but yeah, I mean, what I talked about today, there was so much in an hour. I mean, it was my health and the wheel and, you know, all the stuff that we all talked about collectively. So it's a nice concentrated, you know, maybe 90 minutes to 2 hours seems to be the best. I tried to do it in an hour once and it was just too much. But I learn more, and everybody learns more from everybody else. And I put the foundation together, but it's really, I mean, today you guys all gave so many great nuggets of things I'm going to think about. And, you know, every time I talk to a group of people like this, you know, I've got this one little part of this whole thing figured out. There's just so much more that we all can do. So I appreciate all of you so much for sharing with me, because it just broadens my experience and my ability to help others and pay it forward based on your experiences.
Absolutely. And we're so grateful that you took the time to be with us today. Any other questions out there or comments?
Yeah, I was just saying, one of the things I always like to open up, because sometimes people feel a little funny about asking, but does anybody have any questions about transplant life or anything that, you know, I'm an open book. So before we go, it doesn't necessarily have to be about the Wellness Widget, but if there's anything else that you're just curious about, I'm always happy to answer. Otherwise, I have a chapter in my book called Ask Me Anything. So you'll get it there.
I do love how on the Wellness Widget, for the physical aspect, you do have body image. I've never seen that on any type of wheel like that, because that's so important to add that in there. So yeah.
Many of us struggle with it. Many more than we know struggle with it.
I did have something to say, but I just closed this out on accident. Okay, there we go. I made it like this big and I'm like, wait, how did I even do that? I've never done anything like that before. I don't really have a question, but I do have a comment. I guess I didn't really realize that like survivor's guilt could be a thing, especially because, you know, like I was really excited to sign up for the donor thing, like right out the gate when I got my license and everything. And some of my older family members were a little weird about it. They thought it was kind of strange. And I'm like, well, I'm not going to need them. Like, what am I going to do with them once I'm gone? Someone else might as well get them. And it's not like that person is planning on dying anytime soon. Yes. Everybody has their time. It just happens. So, and I'm pretty in touch with my feelings. So like for me, I never would have even thought that people would feel guilty for receiving a gift like that. Because
it's very, very common. And, you know, one of the things I've learned just through this whole experience is a typical donor can help 5 to 8 people, or, you know, by giving corneas or skin or all the organs. And I just met someone 2 weeks ago who lost a sister who helped 9 people. Wow. I mean, if you're not a donor and you've ever thought about it, it's as easy as going to the, what do they call it, Michigan Secretary of State, to check that on your license. You know, I think a lot of people think, oh, that's such a great thing, I would love to do it, and they just don't. So if you haven't done it, I would encourage you to do that. But yeah, because I didn't feel it, I didn't really realize either, Sarah, about the survivor's guilt. And I'm part of a heart transplant Facebook group, and it comes up quite a bit. I've written letters to my family. I thank them. How do you thank somebody? But I do what I can to show them through pictures of me running a 5K or swimming in the pool for the first time, like how their gift has meant so much to me. They're grieving. I can't even imagine it. So I don't do it to, you know, shove it in their face, but I need them to know somehow, some way, look at the baby. Oh my gosh. You know, how much their gift really does mean. But no, I don't have that guilt, but a lot of people do.
Yeah, that just seems crazy to me. I mean, I can see it, I understand it, but I don't know. I just feel like, you know, somebody's given it a second opportunity. So I can't ever speak on anyone else's feelings, but I think I'd feel grateful more than anything.
Yeah, and
I
I
don't
am.
think I don't know that I'd feel guilty, but then again, I'm hopefully I'll never have to find out.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
hopefully never, but yeah. And I also wanted to say that I appreciate everybody's, kind words too. I've always been really closed off when it comes to my emotions and how I'm feeling and my anxiety and depression. And so the last couple of years, I've been trying really hard to pay more attention and be a little bit more intuitive with it so that I know when I'm having a rough day. Like I've never really been a crier, and anytime before I've ever gotten depressed, I've just kind of completely shut down and closed off, and all I've been doing is crying for like 2 weeks straight. And it's so weird. It's like the complete opposite feeling from what I'm used to. So I'm kind of just letting it happen. I'm not forcing myself to feel any certain way. So it's just nice to have that support behind me. So I just really appreciate it from everybody.
Can I tell you that I don't know whether I say am or was, but I've never been a crier. And in fact, I write about it in my book, but I've had a family member sit down with me and say, we get the same you that everybody else gets. You're just very closed off. You don't show emotion. I mean, I think I'm a very connected person, but I don't like to share things that might be uncomfortable. Better about that now. But I have truly cried more in the last 12 months than I have my entire life. And it's okay. And obviously I have had a big experience that's allowing me to feel emotions that I haven't felt before. But I wonder too, in your case, if this is like a breakthrough for you, and the fact that you are crying now, you're getting out shit that you've been holding on to for years and years and years. And what if this is this release of these toxins in your body, whether they're emotional toxins or whatever? But I'm no therapist at all, but I'm really encouraged that you've had this shift in how you're dealing with these feelings. The self-awareness and the understanding of how to address it. But I think that's really cool. Cry on, sister.
Yeah, it's really hard. It feels gross.
Honestly, to me, crying was always a sign of weakness. Crying was something I couldn't do because what if people saw that I wasn't perfect?
Yeah.
I don't do it all the time, but when I do, I'm like, let it go. This is necessary.
Yeah, I think we don't really realize how much pressure we put on ourselves every day just because of how we think other people see us versus how they actually see us.
That is so true. Very wise.
Can I share something with you guys about crying? Can you guys hear me okay?
Yeah.
So again, the Montana thing, I keep talking about it because I literally just got back. And so we knew Montana was going to be this great big release. And the first day that I got there, we did a hot yoga. And then the second day we got there, we kind of did some setup. And then Carly and I both had our massages. We had a massage before the other girls arrived. And after I massaged, which was amazing, I went back to this little house we were staying at. And I sat down in the chair and she said, "How are you? How are you feeling?" I think she was expecting me to say relaxed, relieved. And I just started sobbing, Sam, just like sobbing. And she was like, "Oh my gosh." And this massage, so if you think about the body and mind are connected, right? Where everything is connected. This massage allowed my body to release stored grief. And I just started sobbing and sobbing and sobbing. And it felt so good. I was like, she was like looking at me and I'm like laughing and crying. And I was like, and in yoga does that too, or, movement of any type. But the massage therapist had literally moved this stuck shit in my body, And then the second night I was there. So this ranch is very spiritual. It's very sacred. And there's stones on the ranch that are in alignment with the different meridians and the different planets. So it's intentionally set up to be this spiritual experience. And the second night that I was there, I woke up at like 5 a.m. I woke up and I had these thoughts that were like, where are these coming from? Is it God? Is it my own brain? Is it like, you go through a retreat or an experience like that and you're processing all these things. And I just knew I had to instinctively get up and write about what was coming to me. I don't know if you guys have time, if you want me to share with you what I wrote down, or I could share it another time. It doesn't matter to me. I know we're kind of whatever you guys want. But anyways, I wanted to share the tear thing. I wanted to share the crying and how
it's therapeutic.
Therapeutic. Yeah.
Absolutely. By the way, Sam, I'm so sorry. I called you Sarah. I'm really big on not getting people's names wrong, so I apologize.
I didn't even notice.
Okay. I did. I want to confess.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Apology accepted.
Awesome.
All right. Well, thank you so much, everybody. I found this super energizing and recharging and enlightening. So thank you for touching me this morning. I really appreciate it.
Hi, Sunny. Sunny is the sunshine girl, that little baby. So Kristy and I, you guys, to end today, Kristy agreed to give away one of her books. So she is going to give away this book to one of the girls on the call. So Kristy, I was thinking, and you can tell me if there's like a favorite way that you give away a book. I was just thinking we would all think of a number 1 through 100, and then whatever number we're closer to, or what do you think?
How many people are there on this call? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you, right?
And count me out. So 1, 2, 3, 4 have a chance to win.
Aren't there 5? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? 5. Yeah.
Well, there's yourself.
No, but I see Kristen, Sam, Heather, Maria.
Oh, I
yeah.
don't see Kristen.
Right.
Sorry.
And then yeah. So okay. So what I was going to say was, I'm going to assign each of you a wellness dimension, and then I'm going to put my finger in the book and see which one comes up. So Heather, which dimension do you want to be?
Oh, you're on mute, girlfriend.
Spiritual.
Okay. Marla, what about you?
Social.
Okay.
Social.
Sam?
Good question. So my ADHD brain doesn't remember things. What were the options again?
Emotional, vocational, financial, and physical.
What was that again? I'm sorry.
Emotional, financial, vocational, and physical.
I'm just going to stay on brand. Let's go with emotional.
Stay on brand.
All right, Kristy, what about you?
Did you say physical was left?
Physical is left. Yeah, I think the bike.
We'll go physical.
All right. I'm literally closing my eyes. I'm swirling my finger. I'm putting my finger on a dimension. Emotional. I'll get your address from Alicia, and we unfortunately had to delay the book getting out by about a week or so. I got the cover back. You can't tell so much from here, but I look sunburned. Something happened when they uploaded the picture, so it'll be delayed a little bit. I want it to be. Well, my editor wants it to be perfect. I actually was okay with a few other things, but we're going back for one last round, so it'll be a little delayed. But when I get it in my hand, Sam, I'll make sure to get one sent to you.
So it's not dermatologist approved if you're sunburned.
Just no. Fun fact, transplant patients, because of the medication we're on, the biggest threat we have to our lives is skin cancer now. So I am constantly sunscreening up, but yes, this is not dermatologist approved.
Okay. Well, okay. So where do we go from here? I think we all get Kristy's book. We all read it. Maybe we do another call later this year and touch base on the widgets, and we see you at the retreat, and we just keep connecting on these things, and we're not going to swallow the ocean. We're going to just take it bite size and one thing at a time. And yeah, just keep showing up on these calls so we can see Sunny.
Yeah.
Oh, muffin. Awesome. Speaking of muffins, that's what I'm eating. I made homemade muffins this morning. My boys had a sleepover, and that's what I made for the boys this morning. So thank you so much, Kristy. You are incredible. All of you girls just keep showing up. I love it. It looks like Kristy just put changeofheartmemoir.com, which I'll share in our group too. Cool. Well, thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend.
You
Thank
guys
you.
too.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Love you.
Thanks.
Bye.